This is part 4 of the polio series. Thank you for following along. So part 1, I talked about the history of polio before the 1800s. Then part 2, I talked about the history of polio during the 1800s. Part 3 was during the first half of the 1900s, and now we're at 1955. Enter the Salk polio vaccine in 1955. Was this the miracle vaccine that we had all been waiting for? In 1955, the Salk polio vaccine was made available for school-age kids, mainly first and second graders. And by 1961, 85% of kids school-aged had been vaccinated with the 3-dose series of the Salk polio vaccine. Interestingly, though, in 1961, studies showed only a 24% efficacy of the vaccine. In fact, because of the low efficacy, they switched from the Salk polio vaccine to the Sabin polio vaccine. Not just switched for the future, but all of the kids that were vaccinated before with the Salk vaccine were revaccinated with the polio vaccine. 1952 was the peak of the polio outbreak. 1955, the polio endemic was starting to drop way down again before the vaccine ever hit the market. And by the early 60s, polio was almost non-existent. But what also happened between 1955 and 1965? Well, the United States stopped using DDT because they started finding health problems with the use of DDT. So at the time the polio vaccine came out, the U.S. was already wise and decided, let's get rid of DDT. And it trickled away by like 1965 and officially banned in the 1970s. So the U.S. had a new vaccine on the market that was not super effective, but had reduced its toxins in the environment. No more mercury, no more lead arsenate, no more DDT. Before 1955, before the vaccine was available, the definition and diagnosis of polio was basically anyone with paralysis. The definition after 1955 was now someone who had paralysis at time of event and continued to have paralysis for 60 days or longer, plus a fecal or blood test positive for poliovirus. So not only did we reduce toxins and give a vaccine that was not super effective, but we reduced the number of polio diagnoses because we changed the definition to something significantly stricter. The question is, did the vaccine have anything to do with it? Stay tuned for part 5 where I talk about polio in other parts of the world currently.